Welcome to the Pet Loss Companion. I'm Dolan-Del Vecchio. I'm here with my friend and co-author Nancy Saxton-Lopez and a special guest who will be introducing in just a couple minutes. This is a program that we do live on YouTube every Thursday from 6 o'clock p.m. to about 6:30. And it grew out of the book that we wrote a few years back called The Pet Loss Companion, Healing Advice from Family Therapists Who Lead Pet Loss Groups. And a lot of what we do during our episodes is we read stories that are sent to us by people who have either recently lost an animal companion or are anticipating the loss or are visited by grief that has resurged because maybe it's an anniversary or something's happening that brings it back. And we welcome your letters. If you write to us, please let us know whether or not it's okay with you for us to share your story. You can reach me at kenddv@gmail.com and Nancy at nancysaxtonlopez@gmail.com. And all the information that we're going to skim through in the beginning is available in the description, the program description that accompanies the live broadcast. And thank you if you're joining us live, and thank you if you're joining us on one of the replays. All of the information that is useful for learning about the program and what we do and how to support us is in the description. And you can support us in a few different ways. We also like you to know that the program is a friend of Dakin Humane Society, which is in Springfield, Massachusetts. And Dakin sponsors a once-a-month pet loss support group that I facilitate over Zoom. It's on the second Tuesday of the month, and it runs 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. You can join from anywhere in the world, and many people do come from all kinds of far-flung places across the world, and there is no cost to you. There is an RSVP link in the description, and you're welcome to join us. And also, we'd like to ask for your support in terms of subscribing or giving a thumbs up or leaving a comment. All of these things that you might do tell the algorithm that the program is useful and make it more accessible to people who can use help with pet loss support. And then finally, we'd like you to know that we have an affiliate relationship with a company called Bereave. Bereave makes very finely crafted granite memorial plaques.
Oh, they're beautiful.
And really beautiful image of your beloved animal companion and whatever text that you might like to include. It's the kind of thing that you might put on a gravesite or in a memorial, on a memorial garden site or inside where you keep mementos. If you purchase the plaque through the link in our description, then we get a little bit of support as part of the cost of your purchase. So please consider doing that if you think this might be helpful for you. And now I'd like to introduce our guest, and her name is Crystal Soucy. Crystal is a pet loss grief coach and certified grief educator. She helps pet parents through a variety of challenges. This may be while their pet is still alive or after they have passed, or both. She is based in Connecticut but provides support virtually to people from all over the world, and you can learn more at www.getcrystalclear, that's GetCrystalClear.com. So welcome, Crystal.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming on.
Oh,
we're comrades, right? And
yes,
the more we can do in this field, the better it is, right?
Well, and this is like a full circle moment for me because if you remember, I reached out to the two of you when I was just starting to consider taking my already existing life coaching business and niching it down to specifically pet loss support. And I was looking at different programs and certifications that were out there. And I had said, hey, would you guys recommend anything in particular? What do you think? I'd love your input. I told you a little bit about my story. And of course, that was just around the 1-year anniversary of my dog Bachi's passing. And this kind of idea started to bubble up. And ironically enough, prior to that, I was actually considering just kind of ending my life coaching business it never really got momentum. I had a really tough 2022. Now this is after I launched the business in February of 2020, and here came COVID. And so things obviously got messy. Talk about grief, right? And weird. And people, life coaching wasn't at the top of anybody's list at that time, right?
Yeah.
So if anybody actually wonders, well, that's kind of a weird name for your business, Crystal Clear Coaching. That's because that's what it was before. And so I kept the name the same and just kind of extended it to pet loss support.
So tell us more about how you decided to focus on pet loss.
Yeah. Well, all the education in the world is great, right? But it's certainly first and foremost because of my own very personal experience with loss. I had Bocce. He was my child, my baby, my boy, for just about 16 years. And he was my entire world. And, when you have a pet that lives that long, there are a number of things that I'm sure you have experienced yourselves that start to happen. So I actually did have a pretty long anticipatory grief stage that we went through where, his quality of life remained pretty good up until the end. I certainly, wasn't keeping him alive when he shouldn't have been. But medications and a good vet and all that stuff kept him going pretty well, but it was a lot, and morning, noon, and night, all of these different medications. Yeah. And different things. And he was a little trooper. And, but then it became, it started to become pretty visible, and noticeable that he was not the same dog. And I kind of have described it as the essence of Bocce had already kind of gone. And, over a few months, it was like, is now the time? And then I didn't. And is now the time? And, horrible.
So hard.
Yeah, very hard. And then I finally made the decision to go ahead with it. And it pulled the rug right out from underneath me. And, even when it's coming, it still doesn't prepare you for what you like.
There's a big difference between anticipatory grief and then the grief that follows the actual loss.
After death.
Yeah. So it hit me hard. I'm single, no kids, not married. So it was me and Bocce, and my house was now completely silent. And I felt like my entire identity was gone. Not that I obviously don't have other things, a successful career and other things like that. But first and foremost, I was a dog mom. And that was, just brought me so much meaning and so much purpose. So it was really, really hard for a while for me. And, my grief was pretty dark to where, I admit that I went through a period where I felt like I didn't even want to continue without Bocce. I admit that because I think that is helpful for some people to hear, because I hear all the time from, people in my community and clients that, they're almost afraid to admit that. And when they do, they're relieved that they were able to share that and kind of have that be normalized, that those thoughts do happen. So
it's not uncommon.
No, it's not uncommon at all. Passive suicidal ideation is not uncommon, and more active suicidal ideation is not uncommon too. There's a great stigma attached to it still, unfortunately.
Right. Yeah. So I'm I have no problem sharing that part about my journey. And so I just kind of stumbled my way and tripped my way through it. I very early on got just interested in the topic of grief even more, and, found podcasts like yours and went to a few audiobooks and listened. And if there was a show on, Netflix that was grief focused, I was all about that. And just, the grief illiterate society that we're in, I just kind of became almost obsessed with the topic and reading about it, listening about it, learning about it. And it actually helped me to realize some of the ways that I hadn't been so great and maybe not there the way I should have been or could have been for people before, because now I was experiencing it in the worst way. So it really
Going
does
through it.
teach you a lot.
Yep, it
Yeah.
does.
So
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about what exactly your role is, what your services are in the context of being a pet loss
Yeah.
grief
Yeah.
counselor.
Okay. So, like I said, it was around the 1 year anniversary of Bocce's passing that this kind of came to me, and I kind of look at my business as a rebirth. Like Bocce's death was a rebirth of my business in a way, and just kind of rebranded and relaunched everything. And basically, what I do is I offer support groups. And I offer one-on-one sessions. I've got a private Facebook community as well, where people can come and get and give support in between our live interactions. And yeah, kind of that's the gist of what I offer. But at this point, I've offered well over 100 support groups.
Oh,
So yeah,
great.
yeah. So
When are your support groups? Can you maybe do a little commercial for them?
Yeah. Well, for a while there, I was offering quite a few of them. And sometimes on the weekend, sometimes during the week. At this point, I've got it down to the first Sunday of every month. So, and right now during the summer, that's at 11 a.m. Eastern, and it'll move back to noon when it hits, the fall time.
Right.
But yeah, so definitely once a month at the very least. Every once in a while, I'll maybe add a pop-up group, but that's kind of my structure now with the support groups. And but I'm available for the one-on-one sessions anytime. I offer 30-minute and 50-minute sessions. And I pride myself on two things. I believe my fees are very affordable, and I also am super responsive. So if someone does reach out to me, they will hear back from me within a few hours at most. And I can often accommodate a session in as little as 24 hours if that's what someone wants.
Oh, that's fabulous. That's
yeah, and a lot
good.
of times that is what someone
Yeah.
wants.
Oh,
Because
sure.
if they've decided they're going to,
Yep.
go to Google and search and find someone, no one, grief can't necessarily wait, right?
No.
So I do
There's
my
no
best.
time frame.
Right.
Anytime.
Yeah.
I would like for you to talk about how grief counseling differs from what you know about therapy. And the reason I ask that, it comes from the conversation we were having before we actually started, where we increasingly hear about credentialed therapists, whether they are PhD psychologists or social workers with advanced training or whatever, who seem to be at a loss, or when they work with somebody who is grieving the loss of a pet, they do and say things that are not only not helpful, but are actually adding to this person's distress.
Yeah.
So how would you describe what you understand to be the difference between what you do and what a therapist might do?
Yeah. Of course, my focus first and foremost is on the grief around pet loss. But and I'm sure we'll talk about this a little bit more. Grief affects all aspects of our lives, right?
Right.
So nothing, happens in a bucket separate from anything else. So, but yeah, I hear that a lot. And I've heard that, there's very little training on grief in a therapy program. I actually, ironically enough, I spent 4 years on my master's degree in marriage and family therapy and never got to finish to the end. And when I think back to that, there was not one
right.
course, not even an elective that I was offered that I can remember. And it's just really kind of bizarre. And yeah, I think it's important that, a therapist just recognize if that's not their lane, it's not where they're comfortable helping someone, that they know that people like me are out there. And I put it out there all the time because I'm actually in a therapy group. It's Wellness Professionals of Connecticut, and it's made up mostly of therapists. And I post in there a lot of times about what's coming up for me, what I do, who I am. And I get referrals that way. And, it's just, like I said, I think important for people to recognize, what might not be your lane, and
That's right.
And to have that, yeah.
So I'm just going to comment my post-grad. It was post-grad. It was after my master's in social work. I did a 3-year post-grad in family therapist, and boy, it was all about loss and grief.
Wow,
I mean, that was
really?
that was a centerpiece of it, because it's a centerpiece of the lived experience of all human beings.
Exactly.
And so it's so interesting for me to hear what you're saying, and it's on top of my own experience of knowing that some therapists just are not skilled at this. So it emphasizes for me how important it is for somebody seeking support with grief, or more specifically with pet loss grief, to interview a prospective therapist,
Yeah.
and to ask them, what is your experience of helping people with this kind of loss? What is your experience of helping people with grief? Do you consider yourself to be well informed and very skillful at helping
Yeah.
people with grief? And what you're saying is reinforcing for me how important that is, because, as I said before, I tend to feel like if you're a therapist, you ought to know how to deal with grief.
Well,
Yeah.
Help
right,
people with grief,
right.
because it is, in fact, I mean, I'll say this, just coming to therapy is for the first time, is for many people quite a grievous experience, that
Scary for them.
they feel a sense of loss at having the need to see a therapist. Now, I don't think that is necessary by any means, because I think it's a great thing for people to ask for help when they need it. And something I mean, I've been in therapy more periods of my life than not, and I've always benefited from it. But I think therapists need to know that.
Yeah.
Well,
that
but I think that there's like, we talk of the law of thirds in the population, right?
Yeah.
And therapists are in that group, right? So you have people that don't like animals. They don't have anything to do with animals.
Not,
Yeah.
yeah.
They're not interested.
Not pet
They
people.
haven't had that experience. And so, some therapists are in that group, right? Or
Yeah.
you have the group that they're nice, they're cool, but they're not on the level of humans, right?
Right.
You know, if they have to leave, and maybe they have to give their dog or cat away. And then you got us,
Yes.
Yep.
right? And we're different, and
Yeah.
we need that connection with somebody who understands
Yeah.
what they are going through.
Well, and I think what can happen a lot of times too is a lot of people are in therapy already for other things, and then they are facing the loss of a pet, or whether it's anticipatory grief and it's looking like it's going to be happening, or it did happen, and now they're suddenly going to their therapist with that as well, and suddenly it starts to not feel right, and things are not jiving or working because of that. And I'm always really happy when a therapist recognizes that and says, well, I know of someone that offers support
Right.
groups
That's good.
and
Yep.
pet loss support
Other
one-on-one.
resources.
Yeah, maybe do that in addition to this.
Well,
Yeah.
that's happened to me a few times, that people have come to me and said, I'm in therapy, but this person
Right.
doesn't know about animal loss.
Yeah.
So I just want to share this comment. We're getting a few comments. Crystal has been an invaluable source of support throughout my journey of grief.
Very nice.
So thank you for a person whose name is not ABCD, but that's how they're listing themselves.
That's very
But
nice.
thank you.
Yes. Thank you. Yeah. Nice to know someone from my community is here. I let them know that I was going to be here with you guys, but yeah. So
Oh, her name is Celeste. She's saying.
Oh,
her
it's
name is
Celeste. Hi, Celeste.
Yes, yeah. So, in the time, in part of the time that we have left, I would like for you to talk about self-care. How important it is for helping professionals, and for people who are going through grief, to spend time and energy focused on self-care.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing too, right? We often are super focused on our pet and giving them the best, and then we neglect ourselves. And, I think a lot of it depends on where you are in your grief journey, because if it's recent and very raw, sometimes self-care is just brushing your teeth, right?
Yep.
Or taking a shower, and I'm just taking my butt back over to the couch and I'm just going to binge watch a show for the day. And other times it is, I really need some fresh air. I'm going to go for a walk, or, I really don't feel like going out, but I'm going to accept that invitation that this friend keeps putting out there to meet for dinner or coffee. And then, you're kind of like, okay, usually glad that you did it. And so it all depends on, I think, where you are, number one, and in those early stages and early days, which, when I say early, and I would imagine you guys agree, we're talking at least the first full year, and in some cases beyond can be considered early.
Varies enormously.
Yeah.
Varies
So,
individuals have different time frames.
Grieve differently.
And certainly in the beginning, it's kind of survival mode, right? And just make sure you're drinking, because there's a lot of tears and we're getting dehydrated.
Hydration.
Yeah, and getting some nourishment, a little bit of food, and and just like our grief journeys, I think self-care looks different for everyone too. It's got to be something that feels right, otherwise you're not going to do it.
I think also, Crystal, and you had this experience because it was Bocce and you, right? That was it.
Yeah.
And I think the people that live alone, and their animal is their everything, right? Their confidant, their love, their their best friend, their colleague, whatever, however you want to define it. And then that being dies, it's so empty, right? And lonely, right?
Yeah.
And so and that I can understand that must have been a really hard journey for you, to kind of regroup with that, because Bocce was there for you.
Yeah.
All of our animals are with us 24/7, right?
Yeah.
Really. I mean, yes, we go to work and whatever, but they're the first people we see in the morning, or the people. See, I'm calling them my children. My children are the first we see in the morning when we go to sleep with them, and so, I think the people that are alone,
and
that's to pay more attention to.
Yeah. And, while I might seem smiley and bubbly right now, let me tell you, there was a time where that was not the case. And I was that person in survival mode. So one of the things that I do like to do is hopefully give others hope that, because as cliche as it might sound, I am one of those people that feels like I can say, if I can get to the other side, then anyone can. And I am a firm believer too, that we will grieve forever, and there's that period of time where it feels so awful and you want it to end. And I kind of often talk about it in my community as, I've made friends with my grief, and it's how I stay connected to Bocce. And I don't want the grief to go away now. Like, I still cry. I'll still open my Facebook memories and the tears will come. And, but it's, it's different now though, and it's just like sweet and makes me smile. But the tears do still come.
Well, the last task of mourning is to incorporate the loss into your day-to-day life.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's the last process of doing this. Not that you ever forget, not that you don't grieve, but it's part of you.
Yeah, integrating it. Yeah. And it just becomes part of you, and you just carry it with you. Yeah.
Right.
Well, I can tell you, I just mentioned to you that I was reading the audiobook. We're creating an audiobook, and I was reading. And the last chapter, I name all of my animals. And I just fell apart.
Henry.
I just started crying. And we had to do it like 3 times. I was like, okay, I'm ready.
Take two.
Right. Even though it's been how many years, right?
Yeah. Because I'm naming them. I'm saying I'm going to go home and I'm going to scratch Isabel and Jack, and I'm going to scratch them behind the ears, and Abigail, and they're all gone now. And it was very hard to do that.
Oh, I bet that was.
Yeah. And
understand.
But you're right. It stays with us. And usually we can visit, after a long time, we can visit their memories and feel grateful and just remember them lovingly. But sometimes the tears come, and it's just part of the experience.
Yep. And that's okay.
Yep.
You know what I love, though? I think Bocce got you here, Crystal.
That's the thing.
I think Bocce got you here.
Yeah. But this is Bocce's legacy. The work you're doing, helping hundreds of people is his legacy.
He is definitely my inspiration. But I will say, Marley, who I have now, who you heard barking when we first got on, I got to give him credit too, because,
Okay.
you know, I was starting to think about maybe I might be ready to consider getting a dog again. And he came into my universe before I was ready. And once I had him, I could tell how my healing journey really moved along at a much better pace, because I am a dog mom
dog
again.
Yeah.
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 And
Right.
that's just so
Your
meaningful.
role came back.
Yeah. Yeah.
Your
So,
mission.
so Marley gets some credit too.
Yep, yep. So let me ask you, we've got just a couple minutes left. What are a couple thoughts that maybe you want to leave people with?
Yeah. Well, one of them is, you know, that quote of, when is the perfect time to plant a tree 20 years ago? The other perfect time is now. I've been thinking about that quote recently, and I think that applies here, where it's never too late to get support. But I also really believe that the best time to get support is, and I realize a lot of people find me and probably find you after a loss has happened. But I think the best time we can kind of just know what's out there and kind of just file it away for future reference is when things are normal, right? And things are just everyday life. And rather than first of all, a lot of people don't even realize that this type of support exists. So just
Right.
getting that
Right.
out there,
Which
Yeah.
is
more.
important.
Yeah. And that even if it's been a while, it's never too late to get support and talk about it. And it wants to be given that voice. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
That's
thank
really
you so
important.
much. And thank you so much, Crystal Soucy. You can learn more about Crystal and her work at www.getcrystalclear.com. And if you find this program helpful, please, if you haven't already, please subscribe. It would also be helpful if you leave a comment, thumbs up, and thank you to those who have done so this episode. And
Hearts.
hearts, yeah, all of that is helpful. And it lets other people, it brings the program to the attention of other people who may benefit. And so thank you so much, Crystal. And we wish
we
you...
want people out there to find
Yes.
Crystal too, right?
Yeah.
This is really
Yes.
important.
We wish
Thank
you
you.
continued success with your program, and maybe we'll have you back in a while to talk some more, okay?
Yeah, I would love that. I knew this was going to go by super fast.
It does.
So
It always goes
just
by.
scratch the surface, right? So there's lots of material to cover. So yeah.
Thank you once again. And Nancy, I'll see you next week as always. Bye-bye.
Thank
Take
you.
care.